a little bit. Saajid, what's up, Sheikh? Yeah, I'm okay. Shukran. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ما بعد. So today is class 15 and there may be like 3 classes left for this book, inshallah. Allah gives us the tawfiq to finish, maybe possibly 3 more classes. And this section here is super important. And as the ulama of Islam say in the first point, is the point of learning. The point of learning is for the purpose of acting on it, using what we learn to practice it. And that's the section al-amalu bil-ilm, using what we learn to practice. Maybe sit down to the cats. طيب. He says in point number 1, al-amalu thamaratul ilm, that acting or action or practicing is, as they say, the benefit of knowledge. Or sometimes they say the fruit of something, which means the benefit of the knowledge is supposed to be that we're able to be better practicing Muslims. طيب. Al-amalu thamaratul ilm. Action is the thamara, which is literally a fruit. But in this case, meaning the benefit of knowledge. You learned all that stuff for what? Right? You memorized all that you memorized. You learned you went to all those classes. Why? What was the benefit of you doing all that? Supposed to be that it makes you a better Muslim. It makes you a better worshiper. Because you use what you learned from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and you practice it. Therefore, if we're practicing the Quran and the Sunnah, then we should be better. Right? Allah musta'an. This is one of our biggest problems, y'all. One of them is that we'll learn and learn and learn and learn and learn, but when it comes to like doing it, practicing, like me actually using it in my life, a lot of us we don't think it applies to me. It applies to Muslims, but it just don't apply to me. Right? So treating your brother or your sister good, yeah, we're supposed to treat our brothers and sisters good. And then I turn around and I won't treat my brother or my sister good. And I won't feel any type of way about it. Right? But I know as a Muslim, we're supposed to treat each other good. Right? When it comes to practice, smile on your brother's face is sadaqah. Right? Smile on your brother's face is charity. But we'll see each other, Muslims, and we refuse to smile at each other. Even if one brother smiles at the other brother, he'll make it a point not to smile. Right? And of course, he or she, of course, we will have our reasons for not smiling. Right? We got our reasons for not smiling. I'm talking about a brother meets a brother. You see a brother, whoever, a sister meets a sister. I'm not talking about no other stuff, y'all. I'm not saying the sister got to smile at the brother got to smile at the sister. I'm saying you meet a brother, it's you and another Muslim, it's you, sister, y'all both got khimars on. Only people wearing headscarves and abayas in the dead middle of the winter, that's us, that's our women who believe like we believe. We'll see each other somewhere and we won't smile. We won't be cordial with each other. We'll act like we don't even see each other, which is not practicing the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's not implementing. That's a lot of times we're doing the opposite. So we need to be praying, inshallah, for our situation in this city as far as brotherhood and sisterhood is concerned, that Allah makes us better in practice. I mean, that Allah makes us better in practice, because that's one area that we, in my personal opinion, just my personal opinion for what I've seen in other communities and what I've heard from other people who come to Philly and people outside of Philly, if I can say, according to, in our terms, we way out of pocket when it comes to behavior. Behavior-wise, I'm not talking about, I'll just use all these terms. I'm not talking about aqidah and manhaj. I'm not talking about none of that. Behavior, how to behave, like the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, out of pocket. The men, the women, the children. And we don't have to be, but a lot of us still think that, you know what I'm saying, that's decent. We still think you get some type of, you know what I mean, some recognition, and we do. Somebody will be a total, not practicing like that. Openly, live on the internet, going live, disobeying the law, and we still make them like celebrities. You know what I'm saying? We still make them like celebrities, like no shame. I'm not saying shame them, no shame in a person that a person has to hide their sins, and then we jump right on board with them. So practicing is a big issue that we need to focus on, and that's the first point that he made, that the benefit of learning, the benefit of the knowledge is to use the knowledge. Now the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or a portion of the hadith that says, Al-Quran hujjatan lak or alayk, the Quran will be a proof for you or against you. Like, when will the Quran be a proof against us? On the day of Yom Qiyamah. Why, or let's say, why would the Quran that we love, we read, we trying to memorize, right? Everything we're going to say about the Quran, why would that end up being a proof? Number one, what does that mean, a proof against me? What does that mean? Evidence. What does that mean? It's an evidence against me.
Not active.
What does it mean that the Quran will be a proof against me? Tayyib. When you stand in front of Allah, you won't have an excuse. Tayyib. Let me rephrase the question. Are you ready already? You ready? If you're ready, further. No, further, because.
I was saying that on their resurrection, our scale basically will be based off of the Quran. So if it was incongruence with the Quran, then it would get support for us. If it was against,
you got to summarize all that, man. Listen, a proof against you means what? It's what? It's not going to benefit you. The same book we say we love, that we trying to memorize, we listen to in the car, is not going to help you. A proof against you, the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Quran hujjatan lak or alayk. Either on the day of judgment, it's going to help you, or on the day of judgment, it's not going to be no benefit to you. According to the hadith. Everybody clear? Number one, what it means, a proof against you. Hujjatan alayk. This is a proof against you, not for you. It's not going to help you. If it was for you, it will help you on the day of judgment. But since it's against you, it's not going to help you on the day of judgment. The Quran, the same Quran that we love, Kalam Allah, right? Now the question is, how do we come on the day of judgment and our book becomes a proof against us? It doesn't benefit us. Why? You didn't use. Oh snap! You didn't use what you learned. You didn't implement what's in the book in your life, which is dangerous. Everybody see the danger? We learning, inshallah. Some of us Some of us feel as though we know more than other people. Tayyib. If you know more, if you know so much, brother, sister, since you know so much, why doesn't it reflect in the way you carry yourself? Since you know so much, right? If anybody has met a person, and let's just go all the way to the, has anybody, who's here made Hajj or Umrah before? MashaAllah. All right, who's here has ever been to one of those gatherings when one of the scholars comes and he gives a light lecture, talk? Okay. Tayyib, when you go there, do you see how the person of knowledge carries himself? Was he mean? Was he upset? Was he mad? Did he know, number one, did he know you? He doesn't know you, you just came from Umrah. He doesn't know what you believe. If you really deem like that, carried himself as a person of knowledge with edeb, nice. Right? And is that what you expect from the scholar, or do you expect something else? That's what you expect. Tell you, a person of knowledge, since you know so much, since you're so right, it's for all of us. If we're so right, if we're so on the sunnah, why, for a lot of us, why doesn't it reflect in the way we carry ourselves? Since we know so much. And we do know, if we don't know, this is the argument of a lot of people that people use against us. People of the sunnah, since you're so much on the sunnah, why doesn't it reflect in the way you treat your wife? Since you want the sunnah so much. You so much on the sunnah, why doesn't it reflect the way you do business with people? Because you got a bad name when it comes to doing business with people. But you so much on the sunnah. You're so much on the sunnah, sister, but it doesn't reflect in your marriage. The person closest to you, your husband and your children. You're supposed to be Muslim, right? Why doesn't it reflect with the people you work with, whether they Muslim or not? Because you know they don't have no filter. They'll tell you straight up, man, he ain't real. She's not real, right? They don't have the covering that we gonna put over one another. They're gonna tell you straight up. So the question is, if we're so right about what we're talking about, why doesn't it reflect in our actions? Because that's the benefit of ilm, of knowledge. The benefit of knowledge, and it's supposed to reflect in the way we carry ourselves every day. So now we got to say, well, if we have so much knowledge and it's not reflecting in our behavior, what does that mean? If it's not humbling us, okay, what does that mean for me? If I have a bunch of knowledge and it's not humbling me, what's going on? If it's not affecting me, then something's wrong with the heart. It's not piercing the heart. Why wouldn't it be piercing the heart? Maybe I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Maybe my heart is hard. Maybe my intention's off. Maybe my sins. Maybe I'm not sincere. It's impossible, y'all, for us in this city. We should not have a reputation as bad as we have when it comes to behavior. Going out of pocket, man. To be people who thrive, and we are so happy at how many people take shahada in our city, how many people show up at their Eids in our city, right? But our behavior, all of the knowledge we have, where is it show? Where do we show it at? Everybody with me? And the benefit of the knowledge is the action. We're supposed to be learning in order to practice it and do it and be better. Not just to have a bunch of knowledge. Because if we just gathering up information, it's kuffar who gather up information about Islam. They call Orientalists. These people memorize Quran. They're not Muslims. They memorize Sahih Bukhari, the whole thing. We don't even memorize the whole thing. These people memorize Sahih Bukhari and with the intention of attacking Islam, trying to find a fault. Memorize Quran, the entire Quran. Right? If we have it, if we have the information, it's supposed to make us change. It's supposed to change us. We're not supposed to be the same. The more you learn, you're supposed to do what? You know better, you do better. That's what they say. And that's why I always tell people when they get married, make sure y'all learning together. Make sure y'all pick a day that y'all learn together, because knowledge changes the way things look in front of you. So if two people get married and the brother is going to class and he's learning about Islam, eventually he's going to come home and she's not going to look the same. Physically, she's going to look the same, but the interest is different now based on ilm. His interests start to change. And now they start to drift apart. Everybody get it? Same thing. The sister, she's always going to the class and he doesn't go to any classes. And they don't do anything together. So she starts to grow in her deen and grow in her deen. She come home and you don't look the same. And you wonder why she tripping. Just don't look the same. It's not, the interest is different. So I always advise people, take some type of learning together, you and your wife. Someday, y'all pick a day, y'all go to class together. At least at some point, y'all gradually improving together. Now, whatever you doing your own after that, and she doing her own, cool. But at least at some point, y'all have some type of growth together, because knowledge makes it looks different now. You start to learn more and things don't look the same. Clear? So if we're learning, and if we, in this, not us here, but in general, we have a thing where we are very proud of our city, and we should be. We should be. But we should be able to tell each other when we're wrong also, and where we need to do better, because we could do better. Especially if, as we say, the people on the outside looking in, if everybody knows, y'all, everybody knows and we don't know, that's a problem. If everybody else knows, we here, but we don't get it, we don't know. I'm gonna give you an example. I was talking to a brother last year. I remember a brother told me, he wasn't from Philly, it was two brothers. And he said to me, he said, what's wrong with y'all? This brother's from Baltimore, it's my man too. He said, what's wrong with y'all? I said, what you mean? He says, y'all don't smile at nobody or nothing. I'm like, smile for what? He like, you just don't get it. I'm like, get what? Smile on your brother's face is sadaqah. I know that, but what you talking about? I really don't know what he's talking about, right? There's another brother, he said, listen, point being, we in it, we don't even see it to be a problem not smiling at one another. We know the hadith. Yeah, but what you talking about? Smile? Why would I smile at him? Not just because it's your brother. She can't smile at you just because y'all sisters in Islam. No. To us, we can't do that. You Joe, doing the most, you doing all that. We let that dictate how we practice our deen. Am I tripping? That stuff that's not, we Quran, Sunnah, all that Joe, that stuff out the door. Whatever the new word is, that's the old one. I don't know what the new word is. Right? That doesn't trump and override the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the other brother says, I forgot where he's from. He says, y'all the only people I know, if it's 5 Muslims standing there, y'all will walk up and shake 4 of their hands and then just like ignore the 5th person standing there. Right? I'm like, I didn't even know what he was talking about. And then I went in front of the masjid the next day and I just sat back and watched people, and everybody's doing it. And we don't even notice it. Total disrespect. 4 sisters standing there. Since you know 3 of them and you don't know the 4th one, when you get to the 4th one, you just give her a half smile like assalamu alaikum and turn around. Right? And the brothers do the same thing. If we don't know, if we are not able to correct that stuff amongst ourselves, then we got a problem, because everybody else could see it. I couldn't see it until the brother told me, though, honestly, to be honest with you. If he would have never said nothing, I probably would have never picked up on it. So sometimes you're in it and you don't notice, but once we get the knowledge about what we're supposed to be doing, we need to be trying to change it. We can't keep going on doing the same thing, knowing that it's not in line with the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's the first point. He says that knowledge was not made, or he says the ulum, knowledge was put here in order to guide us to do the right deed, the right to act properly. amal salih, a righteous action. I think we did the righteous action last week. That's what the knowledge is for. He said, knowledge is not وَلَيْسَ الْعِلْمَ أَن تَعْرِفَ الْمَجْهُولَ فَقَط. Knowledge is not just so you know what you didn't know, just to have information. That's not the point of knowledge, just to have a bunch of information stored up. He says, but it's for to benefit and تستفيد من معرفته, to benefit from that knowledge. And what's the benefit? The benefit is practicing and using it and acting on it. طيب. He says, number 2, acting on the knowledge will help you to gain more knowledge. Acting on what you know will help you to learn more. That makes sense? Does anybody know how that works? Acting on what you know will help you learn more. How could that possibly work?
Is it that like when you act upon something, it's easier for it to like be in your memory because you actually could connect it to a specific action. Like, I think what I'll do that say, like, you can memorize things better when you actually act on it.
Jade. Yes.
Look, I look at it like this because it's happened to me since all the classes on FIG and student knowledge and whatnot. Once I've learned that fact, then it sends me to sit down over another book so
Sahih.
that I can find out.
Once you learn one thing in class, Jade, you heard something in class, you go look that up, you end up coming across something else. Then you end up coming across something else. Now you've been in the book for an hour, and you only went to look up a statement that you heard in class. And you end up learning multiple things based on you trying to learn one thing, or based on you practicing one thing. Then somebody asks you, somebody sees you do something that you learned in class, right? Now they come ask you about what you just did. As you're explaining it to them, and this is how it works. You learn what you don't know when you start to explain yourself. As you're explaining it to somebody, you're starting to say, dang, I don't really understand this part like that because I don't even know what to tell them. And now you start to see your weaknesses as you're talking, right? So now as you're explaining it, something might pop in your head like, wait a minute, I got to check that out when I get home. That leads you to something else, and it leads you to something else, and leads you to something else, if that makes sense. طيب. He says, قال بعض السلف, some of the Salaf used to say, كنا نستعين على حفظ الحديث بالعمل به. He said, we used to use acting on a hadith that we know, we use that as a form to help us to learn more hadith. So we already had hadith memorized. We would act on those hadith as a means to help us memorize more hadith. That makes sense? That makes sense, y'all? طيب. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he said, من عمل بما علم من عمل بما علم أورثه الله علم ما لم يعلم. He said, whoever acts on what they know, Allah will bless them with knowledge about things that they didn't know. Whoever acts on what they know, Allah will bless them with knowledge of things that they didn't know, issues they didn't know about. If you go into any of the books of the Salaf, it's always been the issue with the Salaf of acting, doing something. It was never just about ilm. The people of knowledge. We spoke about the people of knowledge, right? Or didn't we speak about the 3 categories of people? 3 categories of people in a society? What were they? Huh? There's 3 categories. People generally fall into one of 3 categories. Yeah. Either the scholar, the student of the scholar, or just the general people. The scholar, the student, or the general people, right? I forgot the point. Yeah, in order to.
You said something about a lost man about it. You said something about if you act to find the knowledge, Allah will give you knowledge that you didn't know. You said, I think that's the last one.
Oh yeah.
You'll get
That's the statement of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. Whoever acts on what they know, that Allah will give them knowledge of what they don't know. Tayyib, the ulama of Islam, this is the point. If you look in the history of Islam, it was never just about having knowledge, right? So you have the three layers of people in the community. You have general people. They're not imams in our language. They're not imams and masjids. They're Muslims. They come pray, mind their business, worship Allah, and go home. That's it. They're not tasked with the responsibility that an imam is tasked for. Then you have the students of knowledge who have a task above the task of the general people also, right? You had what they would categorize and speak about people when they described them in their biographies. They would describe them as abid, a worshiper. A worshiper. A worshiper doesn't necessarily mean that they had knowledge. Everybody with me? A worshiper doesn't necessarily mean they had a lot of knowledge. Doesn't necessarily mean it was a scholar. Right? But the scholar is a worshiper. The scholar is a worshiper. The scholar has the knowledge and the action. That makes sense? The person of knowledge. You learned all that stuff. All that stuff you learned. You still exactly the same? You're the same Muslim as you were before you learned that? You don't do anything extra throughout your day as a Muslim from worship with all of that information you got? Right? Whereas though the person that is not necessary, they don't necessarily have the knowledge, that doesn't mean that they would just, as we say, we make excuses. Well, I'm not a student. I'm not an imam. As if that's a green light to disobey Allah or something like that. These were people who they were still people of worship. In their reputations, they went down in the history books. It went down in their biographies that such and such was a abid, a worshiper. What does that mean if a person's a worshiper, y'all? What would that look like? If I wanted to be a worshiper, right, in the sense that they're talking about, what does that mean I'm doing? Huh? Staying in the dhikr. I need detail. I'm right now, it's like for example, I'm making it my intention. Right? What? No, I'm telling you that. I'm telling you that. Right now, I'm making my intention from this day on to be a worshiper. What should I do?
You gotta first find out, and then you gotta gain knowledge of how to be, what it does it actually mean to be a worshiper.
Tayyib. Gain knowledge of what it means to be a worshiper. All right, we got the knowledge of what it means to be a worshiper. What I'm doing now.
Not piggybacking off of that, but I would say establishing,
Pigs are haram, my king. I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. Stuck, well, I'm messing with you.
I would say as a Muslim, establishing the pillars as a worshiper, like he's not
I'm listening. Follow.
establishing, I see the pillars of
That's my man, man. I love this brother. That's my man. No. All right, let me rephrase the question. What I got to do today? What?
Right.
That ain't enough, Sheikh. I'm Muslim. Listen, I'm Muslim. I pray. We Muslim. We pray every day anyway. All of us are worshipers of Allah. I'm trying to be an abid. It's not the regular. Increase in acts of worship. Like what? No, it's vague on purpose. I'm leaving it like this on purpose because if I do it like this, we'll talk like this, right? And the person will leave and not know what to do because we're saying stuff like increase in worship. What do that mean? What? What do you know? What do you know right now, sitting here right now, that a person could do for more worship throughout their day?
Increase knowledge. So the word worship is you keep seem like you use it for a reason.
Yeah.
What it is worship. People gotta know what it is. So the example would be read Quran, making think about saying subhanallah, alhamdulillah, the different. There's a bunch, whichever one you reading hadith, making sunnah.
Save them, Sheikh. You right though, huh?
Make Hajj?
No doubt. Yeah, make Hajj for sure. No doubt. No doubt. Make Hajj. But listen, I'm waking up tomorrow. Tell me what I'm doing when I wake up tomorrow. Which ones?
Two before Fajr.
Make sure I pray my sunnahs before Fajr. Even before Fajr, I try to give them pray tahajjud in the middle of the night before Fajr. All right, I pray my sunnahs before Fajr. I have to pray Fajr anyway. The 5 prayers every day is bare minimum, y'all. You gotta be, if you Muslim, you gotta pray 5 times a day. I read the dua when I wake up. Dua going in the bathroom.
You saying worship, right? So if I'm a person and I normally pray, right? Once I salam out, I'll go out.
Yes.
So instead of just rolling out, do my afkar after Fajr. Start trying to discipline the afkar after Fajr.
Make my dhikr after Fajr. Salam out from Fajr. I make my morning adhkar, my morning dhikrs after Fajr. And then after Asr, I make those dhikrs after Asr. Sunnah. Right? What else? Duha. I pray the afternoon, the forenoon. Yeah, the forenoon prayer. Right? Which is between sunrise and the adhan of Dhuhr. Everybody understand? If I'm waking up tomorrow, I say, I'm going to try to be an abid. Let me make sure I get up early enough to pray my 2 rak'ah before Fajr. Excuse me. Let me make sure I sit after Fajr and make some dhikr. Let me make sure, if I can, let me set an alarm in my phone so when the time for duha comes, I can try to pray duha. If I'm moving around, if I get a chance, I can pray 2 rak'ah for duha. If Dhuhr comes, I'm trying to pray my sunnahs before Dhuhr, my sunnahs after Dhuhr. Everybody with me? I'm planning on doing more worship throughout the day. Monday's coming, I'm going to try to fast Monday. It's the sunnah to fast Mondays and Thursdays. I'm going to try to fast on Monday. Tomorrow is Thursday. I'm going to try to fast tomorrow. Fast the white days. Everybody with me? That's because I'm trying to be the abid. The abid does more. All of us generally are servants and slaves of Allah who worship Allah. All the Muslims, right? Okay, a person wants to be an abid. When they say that such and such was an abid, no, he or she did more. Doesn't necessarily know I don't know all the hadith. I don't know all of the Quran. But I use what I have and I worship Allah sincerely. Is that clear?
Wasn't an abbot, the man that killed 99 men, he went to a worshiper like that and he told him like he was done, he got easy.
He went to an abid. Yes, like in the hadith, the man who killed 99 men. He went to an abid and asked him a question. He's an abid. He worships Allah. And his reward is with Allah for his worship. But you can't ask him a question he doesn't know. The abid is not necessarily a person of knowledge. But the person of knowledge, he has all of that knowledge. Like a lot of us claim we have a lot of knowledge. The person of knowledge is supposed to be acting on it. They're the first people that should be doing more. Everybody with me? And that's why when the man came, when the man came to spend the night with Imam Ahmed rahimahullah, and Imam Ahmed rahimahullah, he came and he left a bucket of water in the man's room. And he came back at Fajr and the bucket was still filled to the top. So he said to the man, you a talib ilm, you a student of knowledge. You didn't get up and pray at night? You didn't get up and make wudu and make tahajjud or anything? You didn't pray at night at all? The man gave him an excuse. He said, but I'm traveling. You know what I'm saying? He said, even if you're a traveler. He said, well, lo kunta musafiran. Even if you're a traveler, all of that knowledge that you gain, you're supposed to do something with it. It's supposed to be practiced. And that's the issue, may Allah make us better, that a lot of us have. We have a lot of information. It's a lot of books translated. A lot of books translated.
You're basically saying a worshiper is somebody who doesn't miss a chance to worship. Whatever you know from worship,
Try to do it. Exactly.
act on that worship.
Exactly. Don't miss the chance to act on that worship. Of course, we're not making stuff up, y'all. We're talking about things that are from the sunnah that I know. We all know is 2 rak'ah sunnah before Fajr. The rak'ah before Dhuhr, rak'ah after Dhuhr. But we don't pray them. We'll pray Dhuhr and leave. And we've done our obligation. Right? We have done our obligation of praying Dhuhr, but it's more to be done. I'm sorry, Sheikh.
You know, I was making a point along with what you were saying about Imam Ahmed.
Rahimahullah.
Rahimahullah. It was one time a student was talking about like his time with his teacher. He said the teacher told him a story one time. One time he had a chance of praying next to Sheikh Bass, right? And then after Salah Sheikh Bass, he said Sheikh Bass had to be pretty soon. And he said no. He said pretty soon. He said because the student knowledge should be foremost and praying soon.
No doubt.
And he also would be an example for everybody else in the masjid and encourage them to pray soon.
Which is the next chapter. But we ain't gonna go there. No, it all makes sense. That's the next chapter. طيب. He says, number 3, ذم الله بني إسرائيل على عدم انتفاعهم بالعلم. That Allah criticized Bani Israel, the Jews, for not benefiting from the knowledge they had. And somebody said that earlier. That they had the knowledge and they didn't use it. He said that, yeah, I knew somebody said that. The Jews, they had the knowledge and they didn't practice, they didn't use it. And then the Christians, they were worshiping without knowledge, just doing, as we say, you're just doing anything, right? And both groups were criticized where? In Al-Fatiha, that we don't want to be like either one of those groups. We don't want to be people who have all of this knowledge and we don't use it. We use it when it's convenient. We use it when it fits what we feeling. And we come from a culture, talking about people and stuff like that. That's where we come from. A lot of us, we come from that. That's part of the culture, to see if you can find some type of deficiency, aib in somebody, and let's make fun of it. Right? You with me? Right? That's where we come from. So it's not far-fetched for us to enjoy talking about each other, because that's what we used to doing anyway. We used to talking about people anyway. So a Muslim makes a mistake, some people are happy. We get to talk about somebody. May Allah forgive us and make us better. I mean, there's a people, we were talking the other day, and I'm not trying to be funny, but I'm just saying, if somebody was walking down the street and they tripped and fell off the sidewalk, would that be funny? I don't want the book answer. See you smiling. I want the real answer. It might be funny. I'm just saying. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm saying somebody might find that to be funny based on what we're used to. We're used to laughing at people. Somebody makes a mistake, somebody that's what we used to. We trying to do better, but if the wrong thing happened at the wrong time, I might laugh. You're gonna laugh and say you all right. They be done broke their ankle or something like that, but then we're gonna say, "Dang, you cool? My bad, dang. That was crazy how you felt." If they laugh, we definitely laughing. If they laugh, we definitely laughing, right? This bugged me out. When I went to Mecca, right? If somebody trips and fall, or they stumble, the people try to catch them and they say Bismillah. They reach out, Bismillah. Somebody laugh, it's Bismillah. I thought they was joking at first. I thought it was a joke too. A person slips, Bismillah, Bismillah. Right? Us, we wait till you fall. We laugh and we don't even know if you hurt yet. Right? If you laugh, we keep laughing, and then you really might be hurt. Right? But I'm only mentioning it because that's what we're used to. And we need to know when what we're used to goes against what our deen teaches us to do. We need to be able to recognize and point it out so we can stop it. طيب. So he said, and if that's the case, that Allah criticized them for not benefiting from that knowledge, we do not want to take on that type of approach of a people who Allah criticized for not acting on the knowledge they had. And I'm only saying, because not that we walk around and say that we have so much knowledge, but that's how we carry ourselves. We carry ourselves as if we are the most knowledgeable people walking the earth. Right? So somebody say something, no, that ain't that. No. Right? No, yeah, no, everybody, no. That's how, right? If we know so much, it should reflect in the way we carry ourselves. And that's the point. The knowledge should be a reflection, and that's a whole conversation. And there's books and books written on that too. There's books and طيب. He says the next point: من لم يعمل بما علم حرم لذة العلم والخشية ويوشك أن يسلبه الله ما علم. He said, whoever does not act on what they know, they're going to be prevented from tasting the sweetness of knowledge. The sweetness of knowledge and the sweetness of fear of Allah Jalla wa'ala. طيب. What does it mean to taste the sweetness of knowledge?
Reap the benefits of it.
Jade, to get the benefits of it, to get the benefit from the knowledge. A person who doesn't act on what they know, they're going to be prevented. You're not going to be able to get the actual benefit from the knowledge. And from the benefits of knowledge is that when you act on it, it makes you want to learn more. When the knowledge touches you, it makes you want to learn more. He said, and it's feared that if a person doesn't act on their knowledge, it's feared that Allah will take away the knowledge that you had previously. So what you used to know, now you don't even know that like that anymore. Based on what? Not using it. We all know that's true, right? If you don't use it, you lose it. Allahumma musta'an. طيب. He says, قال الشيخ الإسلام ابن تيمية رحمه الله من أعرض عن اتباع الحق الذي يعلمه تبعا للهوى فإن ذلك يورثه الجهل والضلال. He said, whoever they know something is the truth, but they choose to do otherwise. They know I know I'm supposed to be doing this, but I'm gonna just do this, like this. He said, whoever does that, and when they do that, they do it just doing what they want to do. As we say, following their desires. This is what I want to do. I'm gonna just do it like this. Knowing what they're supposed to be doing, he says, this will lead a person to being ignorant, meaning losing the knowledge they had, and being on a path that is considered to be the wrong path, misguided, not on the path of Allah Jalla wa'ala. Based on a person knowing the truth and not practicing the truth. Because many of us, I'm sorry, some of us are afraid. Some of us are afraid to practice what's true, what we're supposed to be doing. Well, why would a person be afraid to practice the truth? They want to be down with society. What do you mean by that?
They don't want to change.
They don't want to change. They want to impress people. They want to fit in. If I start to change, what's probably immediately going to happen? Huh? The people around me are going to notice that I'm changing. And if they're not on the same page, then I should expect to be some hostility, criticized, shunned out. Why you doing all that? Sis trying to start covering, but the sisters you're around, they not covering like that. Oh, you on that? No, you on now. You deaning. You got to separate yourself. What? We could say that. Separate yourself. You try to start praying. The people, are you going to mash it again? You praying again? طيب. When you separate yourself, which no doubt you got to separate yourself, but everybody got to understand when you separate yourself, there's always going to be a time of loneliness. You're going to be alone. Everybody who you was love, or everybody that you was with, they're not doing what you're trying to do. So that means you have to separate yourself and be with people that are doing what you're trying to do. And in that case, it's going to be a fatra. It's going to be a period of loneliness. Huh?
Yeah, but that's par for the course though, because if you look
No doubt.
If you look at it, it's a double-edged sword, because a lot of times it don't be hostility, it be the fact that when you start doing right, the people that was around you that not doing right, you make them feel uncomfortable.
They're uncomfortable
because they know
that you're doing right, no doubt. They feel uncomfortable now because they know what you're doing is the right thing, and I'm not doing the right thing.
And the other thing is that you should expect that, because for most of us, we didn't grow up as Muslims, so when you took your shahada, that took place anyway.
Right. But no doubt, for sure. But we went through that one time. That we already went through a stage of loneliness. Now I got to go through another stage of loneliness with the people.
But you know why? See, as a shahada, you didn't really, you really could connect the dots because you just coming into Islam. You just know you got to change. But after you've been Muslim for a while, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, you got to make decisions.
You got to make decisions.
You got to make decisions.
You got to be able to. You got to be able to be alone for a period of time to get yourself together.
Difference in errors. Like what he's just like, well, you know, you Muslim, you gotta make a change. Me become Muslim. All the Muslims that I knew was doing the same thing I was doing.
Right.
I didn't feel like I had to change.
Right, Sahih.
Everybody was already
No, that's true.
doing the same thing I'm doing.
It was like that. It been like that. That's depending on the crowd, not the era. It depended on the crowd you're around. Depending on the crowd you're around, like he said, a lot of you take shahada, and the type of Muslims that you're around is no different than what you was doing yesterday. But that's the type of Muslims you're around. That's not all the Muslims. But that means at that point you're going to have to separate yourself from that type of Muslim, and you're going to have to find another type of Muslim that's a little more serious about deen. And sometimes that might take some time.
No, I would say, I mean, it could go both ways. I'm changing for the sake of myself. Some people I hanging around, and they're noticing that I'm changing.
Right.
They kind of applaud me. They want me to be the best. So it's like, it can go both ways. Like,
No doubt.
bad and good. 'Cause it is some
Sah.
people that want you to do
They want you to do better.
They want to see you.
They want to see you do better. They just ain't coming along for the ride.
Yeah, so, you know.
Right? You doing that's good for you.
Time it will.
Inshallah.
It will separate you. Though.
No doubt. Oh, it's going to be some separation. A lot of times, the problem we be having is when the separation come, a lot of us can't deal with being alone. We need somebody there with us.
Type of being lonely.
What?
You be lonely, and then it's like you starting back from the bottom. Because whatever you was doing, you was hanging out on the street, you was doing whatever you was doing, you feel like you kind of mastered it, or you kind of got the hang of it.
Yes, I.
Now you at the bottom.
You gotta start
All
over.
you speaking Arabic, or knowing this hadith, or saying that hadith, and you just feel like a green thumb inside. of
Jade,
the
you starting over.
Especially if you was a person of popularity or whatever the case might be in your neighborhood.
No doubt.
You come to start.
Allahu Akbar. Hold up. Which means you got to do what? And when the situation gets like that, if you were used to what you were doing, like you said, I mastered that. I know what I'm doing over here, but it ain't right. So now when I separate myself and I'm trying to do what's right, it's like I'm starting from scratch. I put myself in the area where I really don't know this area over here. It's really a question mark, and everybody's ahead of me. It seems like I'm the last one, right? And I don't really know anybody over here either. And that's when it gets lonely. But what that does is that humbles you. That's a time to humble yourself. That's a time to be humble and show some humility and say, man, I am starting over. But it's for the betterment. It's to be better. All of this is to be a better Muslim. Not just to be knowing stuff.
But don't it go back to the other point that you made?
What?
Husband and wife. You know what I mean? Remember when you said if one person is doing something, the other person
Yes.
things start looking different.
Yes, no doubt. Stuff start looking different. Sahih. No doubt. It is, but I just wanted to mention that because I know that lonely space, a lot of people don't make it through there. And when I mean I don't make it through there, meaning I can be away from the bros for like a week, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. I got to go back to the corner. It's getting crazy. I got to go back to the house and sit out there with them. And if I'm sitting out there with them, anything bound to happen. She can be away from them sisters who she knows she shouldn't be around for like a month. But after a month and a half, being in that lonely space, she keep going to the mad shit. There's not too many sisters there. She ain't meet nobody. She got to go back to what she knows. A lot of us feel like that. And then we fall into something that we regret. Tayyib. He says the next point or the next section is what you mentioned earlier, Sheikh, is al-qudwa al-hasana. Being a good example. The talib ilm is supposed to be a good example. A person who has learned, and I'm only using this because I know we understand this. If you know all the stuff you claiming you know, right? Then that means number one, it should show, right? It should show in your behavior. Number two, if it shows in your behavior, that means other people are going to see it, right? And if other people see that, naturally, that's an encouragement for other people to be better. Everybody get it? Naturally, that's a natural thing. So he says a person should be a qudwa salihah, a good example fil mujtama', in their community or their society. Tayyib, a person should be a good example in the community or society. Tayyib. I'm only saying this because some of us think that we're not a part of the society we live in. Some of us think we're not part of the real society. Like we live in a whole society that includes all types of people, right? And some of us don't think, some people really don't think we're a part of it. Like the Muslims don't exist. Like we exist in a society where, especially in our area, we have a large number, a very high number, population of Muslims. And the people in the society, downtown, the city hall, and all over everywhere else, everybody recognizes that, the large number of Muslims in Philadelphia. Sometimes we don't even recognize our position in the society and the community. We don't even recognize our own power that we may have in the society we live in. Because what we do, we remove ourselves from society. As if we're not part of what's going on. And the only time we really want to jump in is when some fitna happens, something bad happened, we want to all show up. Or Ramadan, we want to do something. But through the rest of the year, we're part of the society. I mean, we make up a large portion of the population of Philadelphia. I'm not saying we the dominant, I'm just saying, but it's a lot of Muslims. Everybody knows a Muslim in their family or somewhere. If I know so much, it's supposed to show and reflect on how I behave. And if I'm doing what the Quran and the Sunnah says, whether I like it or not, whether you like it or not, if you're doing what the Quran and Sunnah says, you're going to be a good example to society. Whether you're going for that or you're not going for that. The fact that you are, as we say, you practicing, you on your deen, you trying to be on your deen, that's going to show some type of high level of morality to people anyway. Whether you're trying to, not saying you're looking for a compliment, this is Islam now. This is what the deen produces. It produces people who carry themselves with respect. It produces women who don't want to show their body to every man walking down the street, so they cover themselves and have some shyness about themselves. It produces men who not just out here tagging, who not just out here in the mix. It produces families with a structure, children, raising children. That's what Islam produces. We're not aliens. Islam produces that. So if we doing what we're supposed to be doing, that's going to be the outcome, and people are going to see it anyway. And that's the first thing he said, that you become a good example in your mujtama', in your society that you live in. And he said that the Sahaba radiallahu anhum ta'atharu bima ra'awhu min an-nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that the Sahaba, they were affected by what they saw the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam do. They watching them, this is what he's doing, it affected them. And that's why Allah Jalla wa Ala said in the Quran, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرِ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. Allah said, you have in the Messenger of Allah a great example for whoever لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرِ, for whoever is looking forward to meeting Allah. I forgot, Sheikh, ma'alish. Whoever is looking forward to their meeting with Allah, that the Prophet ﷺ is a great example. If we just follow. It's one thing knowing the hadith, it's another thing to practice the hadith. They're two different levels. One is called, you can have knowledge and fahm al-hadith, you understand the issue, but the next level is called tatbiq. Let's actually do it. Let's see what that looks like in real time. What does that look like? That's a different level. Easy words. What are the words, Sheikh? Oh, just practice. Easy to say, but it takes actual work to do it. It takes work to get up when you're home and everybody's asleep, to get up at night and pray. It takes work to get up on time for Fajr. In time enough to get to the masjid. In time enough to do this. Where's the best place to pray your voluntary prayers? At home. It takes work to get up in time to pray your sunnahs for Fajr in the house. Right? And then leave, go to the masjid, brothers, for Fajr. And then when you get to the masjid, pray what? 2 rak'ah for entering the masjid. All this before Fajr. And then pray Fajr. And then after Fajr, do what? Sit. No. 2 rak'ah after Fajr. No. Huh? Sit. Make dhikr. Ayatul Kursi. SubhanAllah. Right? All of that takes work. And to do it consistently, and not to do it, and I'm not in a rush, I'm focused, that's what I'm doing, is way less work to show up for Fajr at the masjid and they already started praying. Right? That means you got up later, you rushed probably to the masjid, you didn't do anything before you left the house, you didn't do any extra before you entered the masjid, you had to go right in and get right in. A lot less work. Tayyib. He says, number 2, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Amr Allah Nabiyahu sallallahu alaihi wasallam, أن يقتدي بمن سبق من الأنبياء بالصبر وغير ذلك. That Allah commanded the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to follow the messengers who were before him in being patient. Sabr, being patient with the situation as far as being a messenger, receiving revelation, how he was treated after he received revelation from the people that knew him. These people knew him. He grew up there. Everybody knows who he is. He has a good reputation. And then once he received revelation, so many people turn on him. Knowing his reputation before revelation, right? To be patient in that case, even in the case where, anybody remember the hadith when Allah told the Prophet ﷺ that if he wanted to, he could turn the whole village over on the people who are oppressing them. And he said, what? In Ta'if. He said, no. He said, Allah said he could destroy these people that did this to you. Mean to the Prophet ﷺ, we could destroy all of them. Just flip the whole city over on them. They'd be done. No. He said, no. Maybe what? Maybe from their children will be some Muslims that come. Sabr. In Ta'if. That was Ta'if, which is approximately like 40 minutes from Mecca. 45 minutes drive from Mecca. Yes. I don't even know, to tell you the truth. That's one of them famous hadith. I'm not sure where that hadith is from. Tayyib. He says here, number 3, Al-Qudwat al-Hasana fil af'al tu'athiru fil akharin. And this is an example he brought, which is the same idea that a person's good deeds or a person being a good example will affect the people around them. What's the other hadith like that? A man is upon the religion of his companion, right? A person is on the deen, you're going to practice deen the way the people you keep around you practice deen. It was another statement, I don't know if it's a hadith, but will affect them, yes. I'm not sure if it's a hadith, but it goes with the previous hadith, that a person, either whoever you're around, either you're affecting them or they're affecting you. Somebody's rubbing off on somebody else. You keep them around you long enough, right? So he said that a person that is a good example when it comes to practicing, he says this will affect the people that are around them. And he mentioned a hadith. I think we spoke about this hadith the other day. Oh, yes, that was a hadith about. That was another hadith. He didn't mention it here. Oh, the blacksmith. Yeah. Yes. That's another hadith about companions. Good. About the people you keep around you. This example is the example that the dalil that they used about praying in a row by yourself the other day. Right? We're not getting into that today, y'all. But the example and this is the example that Ibn Abbas, the point of this mention this hadith, the example that Ibn Abbas, he stayed at his aunt's house, who the Prophet ﷺ was married to, right? And what did Ibn Abbas benefit from the Prophet ﷺ that night? Anybody know? Yes, he saw what the Prophet ﷺ did when he woke up, and what? What did he do when he woke up? He prayed the night prayer, tahajjud, made wudu. Yes. Yes, he was able to sit there and watch and benefit from the Prophet ﷺ, what he did. That he laid down, he woke up, he used the water for wudu, he recited last 10 verses from Surah Al Imran, he stood up and he prayed two, then he prayed two, then he prayed two, then he prayed two. Right? He joined in with him and he prayed on the wrong side, he corrected him and pushed him around to the other side. All of that was from benefit from what he saw the Prophet ﷺ doing. Right? And who are the closest people watching us? Family. Whoever that is living in the house are the people who are watching us the most. Right? And that's why our mother, Aisha radiallahu anha, that the Sahaba had to go to her and ask her, how was he in the home? We see him out here, but what does he do when he goes in the house? Right? Brothers be mad because if anybody knows what we're doing in the house, it's supposed to be your wife. If we're not paying attention to what our wives are doing in the home, and she's not paying attention to what the husband does, that's a problem. If anybody's going to know what you're doing in the home, it's going to be your wife and them kids. Now, your wife might have some mercy on you or not really. But kids, you know, they say anything. They're in the wrong spot. Depending on how old they are, they'll come outside and say anything. Stuck for the love. I know. Well, that's why we're supposed to be teaching and training our children about that type of etiquette, that adab. Okay, some things are for the house. You don't take that outside. They asked Aisha, radiallahu anha, how was he in the house? In the home, and she said, don't you read the Quran? He was the Quran. That's what he said. Of course I read the Quran. He was the Quran. Tayyib. And that was number 3. That was point number 3 that he mentioned, all to say that Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he benefited from seeing what the Prophet ﷺ was doing. The actions that he was doing, he was able to be affected by it, meaning he didn't stay asleep. He saw him get up, he got up. He's praying, he prayed with him, even though he stood on the wrong side. Acting on what he saw, he was able to be corrected and know how to pray properly, and he was pulled to the other side. And all of this is under the section of Al-Qudwa Hasana. Tayyib. At the end of the hadith, it says that after the Prophet ﷺ prayed the night prayer, it says he laid down hatta atahu al-mu'adhin, until the mu'adhin came. And if the mu'adhin came, that means it was time for, it's time for Fajr, right? It says فَقَامَ فَصَلَّى رَكْعَتَيْن خَفِيفَتَيْن. So he got up after that. After he already prayed, it says equals up to 13 rak'at. Right? It says he got up and he prayed 2 short rak'at. Right? It says ثُمَّ خَرَجَ فَصَلَّى الصُّبْحِ. And then he left the house and he went to pray and lead Salat al-Fajr. And the hadith is in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. The whole point of that was that Ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhu, he benefited from what he saw the Prophet ﷺ doing. The Prophet ﷺ is, at that point, the Messenger ﷺ. He received the revelation. He has the knowledge of what we're supposed to be doing from worship. In our situation, of course, on a smaller scale, the person who has knowledge of something is supposed to show in how you carry yourself. It's supposed to show in how you carry yourself. The knowledge, that's if it affects us. That means you learn something, you're supposed to adjust. It should adjust what you've been doing. If I never knew that, that means it was something that I wasn't doing before I learned that, or it was something sure. It was something that I've been doing and I wasn't supposed to be doing. Everybody clear? If I learn something new, either I learned something that I haven't been doing all this time. Everybody get a joint like that? I never knew that. All this time I never knew that. That means I haven't been doing something. So now that means I'm going to start doing something new, right? That I haven't been doing, which is a slight change. Or I learned something new and I learned I've been doing this all of this time and I'm not supposed to be doing it. And if I'm not supposed to be doing that, that means from this point on, I'm not doing it anymore, which means I'm also making a change. The knowledge is supposed to change us. As far as us getting the knowledge and collecting books and having a bunch of information, and it's not showing on how we behave, how we carry ourselves, how we dealing with each other, we should fear falling under the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that the Quran could be a hujjah for you or against you, or the other hadith about people who learn for the sake of learning, so that people could say that you're knowledgeable. As the Prophet ﷺ said, one of the first 3 people to be thrown in the hellfire, the people who learn so that people could say, you're a scholar, you are knowledgeable. And they said that about him. May Allah protect us. Ameen. We don't want to be like that. We don't have to be like that. We don't want to be like that, that we're supposed to be learning for the fact to practice. And then when we start to practice, that doesn't mean when we learn something new, we have to be ignorant to people who don't know. We got to be rude to the sister who never learned that. You learn something new, now you got to tell everybody and correct everybody you come across. People of knowledge, and the people who have knowledge, they don't stand around correcting everything that happens in front of them. Does anybody know why? You could definitely chase somebody away from the deen, but what's another reason? Huh? They don't want to seem arrogant. Because I don't think people are thinking it's you. It's you, right? When you see a new shahada, right? It's a new shahada around you. They're around you all day. Do you correct everything they do? Why? And it is, listen, in this case, you are the person with the knowledge. You talking about I ain't no person. No. It's a new shahada. They don't know anything. They just became Muslim. They with you all day. You are the person. They think you know everything. They assume you know everything. How long you been Muslim all that time? So in the case, why don't you correct them? Everything they do wrong. You don't want to scare them off. You don't want to scare them off? What else? It's too much on who? On the person? It's too much on the person that knows, and it's too much on the new shahada. You focusing on the bigger issues, but the point is you don't want to burn yourself out. If you had knowledge and you look at people walking around, it's a bunch of mistakes being made. You're going to sit around and tell every time somebody you're going to burn yourself out. Let alone you turning people away, you scaring people off. People don't want to be around. Every time they see you, they're like, here you go. Here she go. You don't want to be, we don't want to be those people. May Allah forgive us and protect us from being those people, and at the same time that we balanced enough to be able to correct and teach when it's the time to do it, and that we pick the right time and the right place for things. And we can stop there unless there's any questions. If there's no questions, we can stop there, inshallah. Khalas. طيب, we stop there, inshallah. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak bi Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.